Hi, Karen Naslund here with Naslund Consulting. Welcome to Tips Tuesday, where I'm going to continue the discussion around change. Last week, I talked with you about three important concepts identified by William Bridges in his transition model. The first one was, what is change? And then we talked about transition, which often gets forgotten about or isn't put as the priority when we look at people transitioning. And finally, we talked about the neutral zone and the fact that the neutral zone is the time of what was, the time between what was and what now is, and an acceptance of what now is, and some of what goes on for individuals through that time. Now, the model itself also includes what we would call endings. So when change is announced or when it happens, people have to deal with their feelings around that. And it can be really helpful if we can prepare people for what may be changing or what and how they may be impacted by the change. It's not a place that people immediately go or actually give conscious thought to that, wow, this is going to be changing and this is how it's going to impact me. This is what I'm going to have to give up. This is maybe what I could be looking forward to. This is what's really going to bother me. Those kinds of questions or those kind of thoughts, and really spending time preparing people for the letting go process, for dealing with the endings that are going to be there. Even things that happen very positively will have endings attached to them. So, for example, my family moved into a new home a number of years ago. Last video, I was telling you about the fact that we had remodeled a kitchen. And actually, a long time before that, of course, we had moved into a new home. And the transition from the old home to the new home really impacted my family in different ways. And my youngest daughter, who in fact was 6 at the time, was really struggling with that move. Now, knowing what I know now, I could have prepared her for the changes that were happening. And in fact, knowing now that she is someone who does struggle with change to a greater degree, I look at situations with her and try to give her some insight into some of the endings that she could be experiencing. So recently, she actually finished her schooling and had moved on to post-secondary education, which included her moving away from home. And our conversations, in fact, began a year prior to her actually leaving, preparing her for thinking about what was going to be different in that. And so I'd ask her questions. I'd ask her, so what are you going to really miss about being at home? And what are you looking forward to in, moving to this new location, in starting up school there? What do you think you're going to struggle with? What kinds of things are going to be different for you? So I'd start asking her the questions and not really looking at what those answers potentially could be. And in fact, many times she did not answer me, but I knew she was thinking about it. And as it became closer and closer to the time, and we spent more time talking about the endings of the change that was going to be happening, she became more open, more willing to look at that and to prepare herself for the fact that, yeah, this was going to be a different experience. Yes, I'm going to struggle around these things, but now she was able to better prepare herself in actually doing some things along the way in terms of, one of the big changes was what her new home or new location was going to be like. Well, it can be really helpful to go and actually see it, and then to be able to plan around it, and to talk to other people that had potentially gone through the same experience. Those kinds of things can be helpful when people need to experience change. And so dealing with endings is a prime opportunity and a time for organizations to, where possible, begin conversations as early as possible. A mistake we make in organizational planning around change is that leadership teams often keep that information to themselves until they're actually prepared or ready to unveil the entire plan. And then they expect people to be jumping up and down and really excited about what's going to be happening, when in fact they haven't even been given the time to think about what it's going to mean for them. So if we know that change is happening, a really good tip around that is to give your staff some lead time and to actually encourage the conversations that can happen around the endings and what they're going to have to give up, what change it's going to mean for them personally, what they could be looking forward to, what they may be struggling with, and give them the time and the opportunity to share their thoughts and feelings around that. So until we meet again, have a great day, and remember, success is yours. Bye for now.